The real reason you cannot lose weight, and it's not what you think. Hey team, and welcome to this week's episode of the Inspired Show, the show that's dedicated to helping you become that best version of yourself. I've got a really good episode for you this week to give you some insight on why you keep failing and how to overcome that. But before we go into that, as always, if you've not hit that subscribe button, click it down below. It means you get updated by every single episode that drops every single week. Don't forget to smash a like on this video and share it with somebody that it may benefit. Also, we've got our social media links down below where we post content every single day, helping you become that best version of yourself. And there's also a link to our exclusive community that gives you everything you need to overcome any challenge you've got in terms of stress eating, emotional eating, meal plans, recipes, home workouts, gym workouts, you name it, we cover it for less than a takeaway a week. So make sure you check that out as well. But in today's episode, we're going to be going over the real reasons why you cannot lose weight and how to overcome that. And it's not what you think. Firstly, mindset blocks. There are a few key things that come to mind when it comes to your mindset. Self-sabotage, limiting self-beliefs, and past failures. These are things that really hold people back from seeing the results they want. So first up, we've got self-sabotage. This is where things are going well, but then one slip up leads to sabotaging the rest of our journey. And this is what it looks like in reality. You start your week, everything's going well. Monday, you're eating well, you're training, you're moving, you're getting a good night's sleep. Tuesday, everything going really well until you get to Tuesday evening. For whatever it may be, you end up having an overindulgent meal. You might crack open a bottle of wine, some chocolate, and then you wake up Wednesday morning full of shame, full of guilt, thinking, well, do you know what? I've ruined it. I've got over my calories yesterday. I've missed my walk this morning. Do you know what? I'll start again next week. That self-sabotage mentality will always lead to failure. But what it actually looks like from a common sense point of view is this. You're walking in your house, and then you stub your little toe. Have you ever done that? It's really, really painful. And because you stubbed your little toe, you think, do you know what? I've stubbed one toe. I'm going to stub the rest of my toes because I've already done one. That's how it looks like from a common sense point of view. So when it comes to your journey, we're not looking for perfection. So one slip up does not need to lead into self-sabotage. Simply realign, reset, learn, and keep moving on. If you can overcome the self-sabotage, that'll be a big win for you and it'll help you massively overcome your challenge when it comes to weight loss. The next one is limiting self-beliefs and past failures. Because we failed so many times, we reinforce those past failures. I can't do this. I'll never lose weight. I'll never be able to be happy in my body. And the more you tell yourself this, the more you start to believe this, which makes it very, very difficult for you to see progress. Now, in order to overcome this, we need to start reinforcing positive behavior and giving ourselves an abundance of evidence that we are making progress. This is why I'm a big believer of celebrating your efforts and behaviors that you put in week out. And as you start celebrating that, what you're doing is you're reinforcing these positive behaviors and you're stacking positive evidence that you can make progress. And this is something that does take a little bit of time, but the more you reinforce this, the stronger that belief becomes, and the more you overcome those limiting self-beliefs. So practice that day in, day out. Even the smallest wins, celebrate them. They might seem irrelevant, but it's these small wins that you stack up over time that will help you massively. The second thing is something that we cover quite a lot on our page is emotional and stress eating. Everything's going really well. You're doing really well with your food. You're doing really well with your movement. You're doing your training sessions. But then you have a very stressful day. Work's been absolutely manic. Your boss has been a bit of pain in the backside. You get home and your partner said they were going to do the housework when you get home, but the house is still a tip. You need to sort the kids out, and then you see some doom and gloom on social media and you think, do you know what, I've had enough for today, and you crack open the alcohol, you have some cheese and biscuits, some chocolates, whatever it may be, to help you feel good in that moment. And it works really well in that moment. However, the knock-on effect of that is a knock-on effect on energy, overwhelming sense of guilt and shame, and then falling back into what we spoke about previously, those self-sabotage moments. So in order to overcome this, firstly, it's about identifying the stresses in your life, helping you overcome these aspects, but most importantly, making sure you've got relevant coping mechanisms that will help you on your journey to alleviate stress other than using food or alcohol. And the more you lean into these coping mechanisms and build up your self-care menu, it can be an absolute game changer for you. If you want more information on this, don't forget to check out our previous videos where we cover this in a lot more depth. But this is something that you really need to focus on if you want to overcome your challenges once and for all. Number 3 is the all or nothing mindset, where we start our journey and we go all in on trying to change absolutely everything at once. And again, as always, it starts off really well. We're eating really healthy, we're cutting out all the processed foods, we're limiting alcohol, we're getting to the gym, and by the end of the week, we're just overwhelmed by all these new habits that we're trying to develop. And this is problematic because it will then lead into that self-sabotage that we spoke about. This all or nothing mindset is putting so much pressure on our shoulders that we need to be perfect. It is really holding us back from making the progress we need to be making. So whilst I encourage you to make changes in your life, if you are finding it very overwhelming, what I want you to focus on is 1 or 2 things at a time. Let's say, for example, you started off with some hydration and maybe a little bit of movement. Make those your 2 focuses for the week. And anything on top of that is a bonus. And what you do is you layer it in, week out. And what then tends to happen is you start compounding these habits that you're building and overcoming that all or nothing mindset. And that's super, super important to remember, because if you are going straight into it with the mindset of everything has to be perfect, you're always going to struggle. One principle I love to use with my clients and use myself personally is the 80-20 approach to nutrition as well. This is where you give yourself the flexibility of 80% of the time focus on more nutrient-dense foods, 20% of the time focus on less nutrient-dense foods. It gives you that flexibility to stay on track with your goals as well. But most importantly, shifting your mindset when it comes to slip-ups. Like if you miss a workout, don't beat yourself up about it. Ask yourself, what can I learn from the situation and can I move it to elsewhere in the week? If you slip up with your food, show yourself some grace. Understand why you slipped up, but remember the next meal is an opportunity to get back on track. And when we focus on this consistency rather than perfection, it will make things so much easier and help you overcome that all or nothing mindset. Number 4 is your lifestyle habits and behaviors. This is super, super important to remember. A lot of people often neglect their lifestyle, and a few things come to play. When it comes to lifestyle, sleep is super, super important. Poor sleep means disruption to hunger hormones, leptin and ghrelin. These control hunger and appetite. When you have poor sleep, energy is going to be lower as well, which will impact daily movement. Now, nutrition and daily movement are 2 key drivers when it comes to dropping body fat and getting leaner. So it makes sense to ensure that we're managing these hormones as best as we can. And one of the best ways to do that is having a good night's sleep. If you start improving your sleep, I guarantee you'll be an absolute game changer for you. Another aspect of lifestyle is your daily movement. A lot of us live sedentary lifestyles, and sedentary lifestyles will lead to a whole host of problems. So we want to try and start moving more on a regular basis, and this doesn't mean going to the gym and absolutely crushing it 5 or 6 days a week. It's simply moving a little bit more in general, like using the car a little bit less, parking further away, using stairs instead of the escalators, having family time where you're going out for walks instead of sitting down all the time. Like these increases in lifestyle will be an absolute game changer for you when it comes to your health and fitness journey. And again, it's all about starting small and stacking up your wins. We've also got a couple of episodes on sleep as well, so make sure you check out the channel for that. And lastly, I want to speak about how to start shifting your mindset once and for all and start making real progress. So we need to understand when it comes to weight loss, it's just not about willpower. This is where a lot of people fall short. It's about systems, habits that make good choices and make it easier for you. So when it comes to building in systems and habits, it's all about small, consistent efforts over time that will lead to much bigger outcomes. So how can we start to systemize this? One thing I do, and it works really well with a lot of my clients, is to pick one thing to focus on at a time. Once you get really good at one thing, then layer another thing in. So for example, like we mentioned earlier, your first week might be all about drinking a little bit more water. If you nail that, the following week, add in a section on movement. If you nail that, add in a section on nutrition. By doing that, that's going to start systemizing what you need to be doing. You also want to be celebrating your efforts over outcomes. So at the end of each week, when you're doing your little check-in, don't just look at the weight loss and measurement loss, like look at the behaviors you put in. So around your nutrition, around your movement, around your mindset, and really celebrate those. When you start to celebrate those, what you're doing is you're reinforcing those behaviors. When you start reinforcing those behaviors, they start becoming habits and rituals. Now, putting those together, I guarantee you it'll be an absolute game changer to helping you become that best version of yourself. I hope you found this week's episode helpful. If you did, don't forget to smash a like on it. If you've not hit the subscribe button yet, why have you not? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And any big takeaways you've got, let me know in the comment section below. But guys, thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you again next week.